Hey everyone, I just wanted to stop by real quick for this podcast starts and say you should like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to follow me on all my social medias at John D. Klauser, it's literally the same name as the name that you subscribe to on this YouTube channel. So enjoy this clip, and I'll see you guys on the other side.
You're a cunt.
Welcome to The John Show with your host, John Doogie Klauser.
All right. What is going on? How are you guys? We are here on a new episode of my show, The John Show, with your host, John D. Klauser. That is who I am. If you don't know who I am, if it's the first time. If it is, though, your first time, guys, I want to say welcome. If you're returning, I want to say thank you so much for coming back for another dosing. No, dosing would work because you could say that, like, what we're doing right now, I'm about to pour you a bowl of some soup that I've made. Anyway, we are here on episode 56, and then this is day 344 of the good old C word. It starts with a C and it ends with an ovid, and it's an ovid. So, it's just one of those things. But yeah, hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are alive. So I guess you could say I'm officially, a week and 3 days out from getting my second shot of the vaccine. Doing fine. I had a hamburger today, which I shouldn't have probably done. And because I've been eating really, really well lately. All I've been eating is ground beef and rice, having a salad, having about 20 ounces of fruit, and taking vitamins. And I didn't do any of that today. I just ate, I had a Snickers bar, and I had a cheeseburger with French fries and a Coke. And I don't think I should have had that because it kind of upset my stomach a bit. And I had to take a nap, and I woke up and my stomach was still kind of upset. And I'm like, ugh. And I just gargled some salt water. That's usually what I do. If my stomach doesn't, and then I swallow it, which is gross. But that usually makes my stomach feel a lot better. I don't know why. It always has worked for me. And then, you know what? I'm like, you know what? Hey, John, you know how you say your stomach doesn't feel that well? You know what you should do? You should open up a Big Boy, one of the Busch Lights. Because you know what I say, guys, or what we've been told is that cowboys only drink Busch. Or Busch Light. I don't know one of the two. It's one of the two. Well, cowboys only drink Busch Light. I don't know. I saw it from, I think I've told you guys this before. I've had to have told you guys this before. But I saw it on this guy who does, he rides bulls. And he has a bunch of videos. He makes a bunch of videos on it. And then he's one of the top notch bull riders. And that's what he says. He says, only cowboys drink Busch. And I don't think he really elaborated more on if it was Busch Light or if it was Busch, or if it's just, it doesn't really matter, either one. But we're here and we're drinking it. So, guys, this one is for you. Oh, yeah, like I told you guys, I thought I was going to be down with that tequila thing. That was a fun little ride that we went on. And I'm like, I'm just going to drink one of this, and, I'll be good. I probably wouldn't drink all of it. I'll probably drink half of it. But we'll see. But, talking about other weird sayings, I was at the gas station the other day, and I overheard this guy who was on the phone. He's like a guy in his truck. It's always people that have trucks. And you can kind of tell that, they're probably farmers, or they've always worked out on the farmland. Or that, they have big tobacco equipment that, picks up tobacco, or it digs up dirt, one of those big ones that have the line and has it looks like a bunch of saw blades that are just chopping up the land or doing something. I could not tell you what it is. I've seen it so many times in my life, but I could not tell you if it's chopping it up and sucking it up, or just chopping it up so then something else can come by and suck it up. Then I could not tell you. It's probably both, a little bit of both. I'm probably mixing. It's probably two different. Either way, I digress. To continue telling the story, is that it was one of these guys. He was just, at this truck. He was one of those kind of guys. He had some plaid on, overalls, and cowboy boots. And I overheard him say, he was on the phone. He's like, it's got to be knee high before the 4th of July. Now, I've waited before. You just love it when I burp. I hate when people do it and then look at me like burping on the podcast. So I thought I would Google what that is, like that saying, and we'll see what it means. Hey, isn't this fun? Isn't this fun? You're watching me do this because I thought I could easily have done it. And okay, so it is an old it's an old usage by corn farmers near and far to measure the success of their crop come Independence Day. Last week, farmers across the United States celebrated the 4th in the same spirit as generations before them. Okay, so I guess it's just a form of saying, like, if the corn is above the knee before the 4th of July, I guess it's a good thing. I'm guessing that's what you want. You want it above the knee. You want it a knee high before the 4th of July. By the 4th of July. Oh, it's by the 4th of July, not before the 4th of July. By the 4th of July. Oh, okay. Well, guys, we're here, and I just taught you something. I didn't even know this either. Because I heard it, and I'm like, it had to do, I assumed, just by looking at the guy, I assumed it has to do something like that. Kind of like, two tears in the bucket, fuck it kind of thing. I assumed it was similar to that. It was just a saying that someone said, or someone has, like farmers say, because, has anyone else, like, God damn, this, they need to, like, like we've dealt with all this, like, COVID shit, and then, like, we had to do with daylight saving time. We lost an hour, everything went up. Dude, it's weird. My body's still trying to get used to it. This is coming from somebody who sleeps on average, like, 4.5 hours in a day. Like, I usually don't go to, I'll wake up at 7:30, 6:30 sometimes, and then I usually go to bed at like 2:30. So that's my life. 4.5, 5 hours, something like that. Yeah, it's not the best. And then today I took a nap. I took like a 30-minute nap, which was awesome. Felt good. It took a minute to wake up after it. I'm like, I'm like, I got to do a podcast. Like, John, like, this probably was like the dumbest thing you should have done. Because what I did was I went to the gym. After the gym, then I got my groceries for the week and came back to my place. And I set up all the lights, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take a nap now. I set up the camera, all that stuff. I'm like, all I have to do now is just do the podcast. And then I took a nap after that. And I was like, oh, man, John, you probably shouldn't have done that because it's going to take you a while because it's always been a bad thing. Like, it always takes me a minute to wake up. But that's usually when I'm around people because I don't like, I'm pretty grouchy when I first wake up. And so it takes me a minute to fully be like, okay, this is what we're doing. I need to get up. I need to be focused. I need to like work on, getting some shit done. Because, today's Monday and it's like my big day for production because after this and Aaron comes over and we shoot some, I think we're going to do some cool, we're going to do a Cool Baby podcast. So it's an hour episode. And then we're also going to be shooting some just random footage for a little bit that we're doing. So it's fun. It's a good time. It's what we're doing over here. And, yeah. So I hope you guys are doing well. Like I said, I got my second vaccine. Nothing, no complications. I'm doing fine. Absolutely fine. So, I'd recommend that you should do yours. Aaron, I just believe, just got his first shot. So that was good. I don't know. It's something that was really weird. So I guess it was like the big thing this week, what I was really been working on, or the really big thing I wanted to talk about, or kind of wanted to kind of dissect a little bit by talking here on this podcast. So I've been, I've been doing these shows for I've been 56. This is episode 56. So 56 times. And so, as much fun as it is to tell really weird messed up stories, which I have one, if I get after this, that's probably what I'll tell. But I've been in a weird place lately. I've been getting a lot of anxiety attacks, but I wanted to use this time to talk a little bit. So I think this is interesting because usually this is what happens with me when I hit like certain levels in life where I'm kind of like, John, you need to kind of level up because it's just this is what you need to do. You spend enough time here learning on this level, so now you need to move on to the next level of your life if you want to be a successful person. Because I had very successful parents. Like I got adopted by some very successful parents, and my siblings have also been all pretty successful, and their kids are successful. And I need to be, I'm the artsy fartsy one in the family. Well, everyone else kind of went down the medical route, and sometimes I do like what would I have done if I went down the medical route? I would have hated it. Probably would not have done well because I hated it so much. But I've been thinking a lot lately. I'm like, because Aaron just last week, he's like, hey, I'm going to be moving to Tennessee because, he has a girlfriend that lives there. And I'm like, oh, fuck. I'm like, really? Like, and so like, he just kind of told us in the whole thing right before we did the podcast, like the Cool Baby podcast last week. If you watch that, I think we talked a little bit about it. And, yeah, so you know what that means? What it means is like, a lot of stuff that Aaron and I do, we won't be doing it anymore for a while, or it might be the end of it. Because like he might live in Tennessee with his girlfriend. They could get married because we're the age now of like these are the things that we do, and he's gonna be doing comedy and traveling. Because after he gets his vaccines, like he's like ready to rock and roll. He's gonna just be able to be back on the road again. And since he got like a buyout with the airline that he worked for, he's gonna be able to fly for cheap. I think it's either he does it for free or it's like super cheap. Well, either way, like especially if you're a comedian, that's a huge expense that he doesn't have to pay for. And I'm like so excited. I'm so happy for him because that's one of the things. Like like we're artists, and he's a fellow artist, and I want him to be able to like grow and be better because especially he's one of my best friends. But it's also like there was a moment, and I wrote it down. How I wrote it down was that like when he told me that he was going to be, or he told us that he was going to be leaving, like I think at the end of he wants to say at the end of spring, probably beginning of summer. That's when he kind of plans on it. So it's going to be within the couple months. That it kind of what I wrote down was like it hit me like a hurricane in the desert because it's been so interesting because I've been thinking, I'm like I've been like needing to like move and take another step in my film career. And like it's also another thing is like I'm seeing like another friend of mine like like falling in love and moving on and getting starting this relationship of like seriousness and moving in with them. And I see these things and I think they're cool, and I think they're really awesome to see. And I've never really, honestly, to tell you the truth, I just never seen myself with any of this. I've always just seen myself as a nomadic person and be a filmmaker. But what it's making me think is like I need to either take steps and get like a studio here in Kansas City and be able to do more stuff, or what I need to do is I'm going to have to move someplace. And I've been like just thinking about these different things, how my world is about to change, because a lot of my world was doing these film projects, doing these little things every week. And a lot of things now are going to be more on myself, and it's just what the universe is telling me, or it's starting to show me that like, hey dude, like you need to start focusing more on you. As much fun as it was to like work with other people and to do these things for them, I think it's now time for you now to focus on things for yourself. And it's just weird for me because it's like, I can get used to like in a pattern. And like, I've talked to Aaron about this all the time. It's like, sometimes like, cause I was dating, sorry to talk about my love life, but like, it was an interesting thing. Cause she told me, she's like, like whenever someone tells you that they're better than you, or like, like that they're like out of your league, I automatically, I'm like, okay, that's cool. Like I kind of like, don't think you are, because no, if you are, then you just do your thing. And that just shows. And the person will just know that like, oh my God, I was with this person and they were so much better and they were out of my league. I can't believe that person gave me the time of day, versus like you saying it and then you just kind of come off like a douche. But it was interesting because it's like she's like, I need someone who's motivated. And it's like, for my opinion of the whole situation, like I don't think she never asked anything what I was doing. But it was interesting because I think the universe, there's a reason why that was said to me. And this is how I live my life. Is like I live like if people say stuff like that to you, then there's a reason why it's being said. And I think that the universe is trying to tell you something. And I think the universe is telling me, it's like, hey John, you need to start leveling. You need to level up. You've been here. You need to go up a little bit more. You've earned it. Like you now need to put a little bit more work into it, which is fine, but you just need to tilt it a little bit more because you're ready for that. And that's how I've always looked at this whole, like doing this film stuff. And, like a lot of some projects I don't do, some projects I do just because I'm like, like I want to do this one because I like the opportunity, or like I don't do this because I don't think that like this is in the realm of what I want to be doing. So I'm not going to be able to put my 100% into it. And so that's what it is right now. It's like, damn. Okay, so Aaron's going to be leaving. And so like the Aaron and John show is going to be, it's going to be on hiatus for a while. I don't ever say, it's not like it's ending for a minute, but then, you never know. Something might happen. He moves back and then, we move into like a house together. Who knows? You never know. But it's just interesting to see all this, to know that like life moves on. And I love seeing it. Like I see like my other friends, some friends I graduated high school with, friends I've graduated college with. And like, they have kids and they have a wife and they have like a house and they have like, multiple cars. And it's so interesting because I've never seen myself in that situation. I think maybe because maybe I have a complex. Sometimes I think about it. Maybe I have a complex in the sense of like, because I was adopted. And so like, I was never really, maybe I have it's like a complex in the sense of like, oh, I don't deserve to have any of this because I really wasn't supposed to have it because it was just extreme luck. Like it was like winning the lottery, like getting adopted. Like I try to explain it to people sometimes. It's like, no, do you understand? Like I was living in San Pedro Sula, Honduras, in an orphanage, and somehow like some people from California came to Honduras and then found me, and then they adopted me. Like it's the most craziest thing in the world. It's one of the most insane things in the entire world. But by having these things are happening, and the universe is showing me things, and I don't panic. I don't like freak out. It's just weird. So and I think that's okay to like say that, because saying it out loud and realizing like, yeah, it's gonna be weird. Like things are changing, and it's time for you to now be focusing more on yourself and doing things that you need to be doing. And yeah, and then from like there, like just kill it. Hold on real quick. My inbox was like halfway on the desk, halfway off, and I needed to just push it on again a little bit. But yeah, so yeah, that's the only thing. Like I know I usually like, probably weird me talking about this, being a little bit more serious, but it's just interesting to me, especially like Passover is this coming Saturday, because it's Monday. It's this Saturday, and looking it up, like hearing the stories, like I read like this little synopsis or watched these little videos. It was really interesting. It's the whole animation of all the books of the Torah, and I read all of them, and I watched it last night. It was very interesting to like see from the beginning, to see like how the Jewish people, like my religion I believe in, that they went to Egypt, and from there they became slaves, and then like Passover is like the freedom from Egypt, and then like Moses split the Red Sea and they split across it, and like it's like I've been to all these places, and so it's like so cool to like hear these stories, and even if they are just stories, but to know that like I've been to these places that they're speaking of, like the Red Sea. I've been to the Red Sea. I've been to the Dead Sea. I've been to all these different things. Like, and it's like the thing that like I'm like, this is where the place like Moses fucking did all this shit. Like, oh, okay, that's cool. Like, do I really believe that he probably split it? No, like it was probably like an area where it was like a lot less deep, and so they were able to cross over it. And probably that's what made it easy, is the fact that they weren't on chariots and stuff like that, and that's the reason why they were able to cross it. it probably has nothing to do with the fact that a real miracle happened. But that's what happened. Like, that's a miracle. And so that's the reason why, like, Moses is like such a huge important thing in the Torah and in like the Old Testament, is because he did that. And then he was the person who made all like the 10 plagues that occurred, like turning the like blood and like all the water into blood. And then, like, Passover, like the firstborn of all the Egyptian sons, like died. It was like, okay. The frogs and the locusts and all that shit. It was like interesting to watch and to hear and to get a refresher on. Because, I like what I've told you guys. I grew up with a Bible, a Torah, and a Quran in the house. And we just, like, my parents were like just super open about it. Like, hey, you need to know all this stuff. And because, like, having that sort of like being super open about all of it, like it allowed me to have like this really cool perspective of everybody, of all humans. And I've always been able to like be like, oh yeah, like, because like what makes it fun, what makes it awesome for me is the fact that like I can joke around with like a Middle Eastern person and have Middle Eastern jokes with them, and then they can make fun of me like for being like half hunter and half Egyptian, and like we can have these jokes and we have these inside things because I've spent most of my life like learning about these things and like their religious things. Like I know about them. Like I have friends that are Muslim and I can make jokes about Muhammad, and they make fun of jokes about me about being Jewish, and like dude, you're Egyptian, you're fucking Jewish. Like what the fuck, dude? It's like it's just interesting like things. And like then I have like black friends I can make fun of. They make fun of me for being a spick. Like it's just funny stuff. Like, but the thing is like, the reason why I am able to do all that is because I have always just been super open and willing to learn about culture. And that was like when I keep going back to that. This is what I've been thinking about lately. Cause I think as a Passover is happening, and I think usually when a religious thing is occurring, it always makes me really think about like all like my roots and like the luckiness that God has given me. And because I don't know, God or the universe, I don't know what do you want to call it, like whatever it is. I think it's kind of the same, in my opinion. But that's just me. This is what I feel. It's just so, but like it's interesting to have all this like kind of come together at one time. I feel like I'm doing like a sermon, and this is my TED Talk, everyone. But like no, it's just becoming a new person, trying to grow a little bit. Seeing that like the universe is like, hey, John, like it's time to like move and do something else, because it's, and you know what, you're ready. You've dealt in this area for the longest of time. Now it's time for you to move on and do other things and be a good person and try to just bring out more positivity and just hope that helps and it works. So that's what I've been doing lately. But yeah, that's pretty much what it is. So I guess like I should probably like lift this episode up now a little bit more. Man, who would have thought I would have pulled some shit like that in my asshole and just talked about that and tried to be so like serious and talk about Passover and all this. But this is what I've been doing this week. I've been just doing. I read all that stuff in the Torah. It was so much fun, and like Exodus, like in this whole story of the Jews like leaving Egypt, and because that's pretty much where the whole book starts, or the whole story starts for Judaism, is boom right there. Like the God made the heavens and the earth, and the next thing is Exodus, and like the Jews, and then the false idol, and then Aaron, and then Moses. And it was just like interesting. It was just really cool to learn all that stuff, kind of like to get refreshed again on it, because then like because when like you're younger, at least like I did, like when I was young, like I was in my 20s and like in college and film school, I was kind of like so like, oh man, I'm so much better than all that stuff. Like there's no God, there's none of all that stuff. And then when you get older, now you kind of like go back to those roots and you kind of see like, oh, this is what my parents were trying to do. And this is how they were trying to like make me a better person by doing all these things. It's like, And it kind of makes you mad because you're like, oh man, if I would have known, if I was a little bit smarter, and I was in my 20s when I learned this stuff, like my parents were trying to do, I'd be so many more steps ahead. but that's what part of life is you have to learn at your own speed, and you have to figure out like, okay, and you have to fuck up and fuck up and fuck up to be able to learn not to fuck up again. So, but yeah, I'm not it's interesting, but I don't know. I wanted to talk about, I feel like the next thing to talk about was like the funny story, but the funny story is kind of has to do with the, the shootings with the Asian people. And apparently if you're watching this, you're going to be seeing this on Tuesday at the earliest. There was another shooting in Boulder at some grocery store, Boulder, Colorado. But the one I was wanting to talk about was the one in Atlanta, and like the Asian hate. And like, I feel so bad about that. Like, because to me, it's like, I've always seen Asian people. So I went to school out in California, Los Angeles. So like in Los Angeles, like there's so many Asian cultures, and like they're thriving, and they have their own area, and they just kind of stay there, and they have like, everyone has like so much respect for them. It's so interesting in Los Angeles. Like everyone has like so much respect for all the different cultures. Like in like the Latin food, like, 'cause this is where you get the best Latin food, is in Los Angeles, I believe. It's like, it's so good. But you also can get some really good Middle Eastern food, and you get some really good like Korean food. And the thing is, like, we all have like this respect, and so it drives me crazy. And even in the sense of when I was in school, and then like when I was in film school, so I got a text message from a gig that I'm doing later on this week. But so like when I wasn't even like in film school, I did I was a nanny or a manny, whichever you want to call it, for like a Korean family, and like they live in Bel Air, and they were super rich. And I think I've probably told you guys this story before, but like so I've always seen like the Asian culture like super succeeding. And I've always like known that even my parents were like, like the Asian culture is like known for being like really driven and very particular, and like very like focused on getting everything done. I think I've said that twice, but anyway. And so it's like, it just like hurts my heart. But like when I first moved, what the funny part of the whole thing, what I was trying to get to is like, some people are like, I can't believe there's been so much hate towards Asians. I'm like, oh my God, yeah, like I can see that. So when I first moved to the States, I was going to this private school, and when I first got there, like this kid was like, like, hey, like you need to get out of this. Like I used to get beat up by him and his friends, and they used to call me like Asian slurs all the time. And that's the thing is like, so think about that racism. Like I'm Honduran and Egyptian. I'm not even close to any Asian countries. So I don't understand how you would even like mistake me for being Asian. Like there's no way. I don't get it. It was one of the most weirder things, and my mom was like, what the hell? Like, no, like those, like you, like one, she's like, don't say those don't say those words. And then two, like that's not you. Like that's like, those are derogatory statements towards Asian people. So don't like, so, and the thing is like, I would say them now, but now because of all this hate, like before, like it was so interesting. Maybe this is not good to say, but like I would have said that because it was a funny joke, but now because I'm like, it's not funny to like, to say it now. And then, but the only thing that's like, it's like, well, Asian culture, welcome aboard. Now you know how it feels to be Black and Latino with all the hate. Like, yeah, you get shot in nail salons, Black people get killed by the cops, and Latinos get stuck in cages. So, hey, we all welcome, really. That's pretty much it. But so this is where the podcast is going to probably end. I have about like 45 seconds left, so I will see you guys on the next episode. Like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching, and yeah, I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye.